The right to vote is under assault across the country. Case in point, Florida. This week, a Governor DeSantis appointed Florida Circuit Judge ruled new maps drawn by DeSantis to eliminate the seat of black Democratic Congressman Al Lawson were, you guessed it, unconstitutional. Undeterred, DeSantis, of course, is appealing that ruling. The protracted legal battle underway in Florida mirrors what has long happened in America over the right to vote. And it's why my next guest entitled his new book, Our Unfinished March. Joining me now is Eric Holder, former Attorney General of the United States, current chairman of the National Democratic Redistricting Committee, and co-author with Sam Koppelman of the brand new book, Our Unfinished March, The Violent Past and Imperiled Future of the Vote, A History, a Crisis, a Plan. Attorney General Holder, thank you for coming to the Sunday Show.
Always good to see you.
For your first time live.
Yes, indeed. We've been doing a lot of virtual things.
A lot of virtual things. Well, Attorney General Holder, as the former chief law enforcement of the country, I'd love to get your reaction to the horrific story out of Baltimore.
What we saw in Buffalo yesterday, I think
Buffalo
is emblematic of a problem that we've long dealt with and unsuccessfully. There are too many guns on the street in the hands of too many of the wrong people. And so we've got to deal with the gun problem. We've also got to deal with an attitudinal problem, the problem of white supremacy. And we have to understand, why is it that people are taking these views that are fundamentally un-American and then acting upon them, using the guns that they have access to. I mean, what we saw in Buffalo is not unique, unfortunately. We've seen this repeated in other parts of the country. And one of the things I'd say is that I've seen people say, well, this guy drove. He wasn't a part of our community. Yeah, he was a part of your community. He was a part of the American community. And this is an American problem. It is not a Buffalo problem. In the same way it wasn't a Pittsburgh problem. It wasn't a New Mexico problem. This is an American issue.
Well, another American issue is the right to vote, and particularly the laws that have been passed and proposed around the country to block and suppress the right to vote. Why exactly did you write your book, Our Unfinished March, and how does it relate to the headlines we've been talking about?
Well, I think our democracy is under attack. I don't think I'm being hyperbolic or alarmist. And that was the thing that kind of spurred me to look at kind of where we are. And in doing that, I said, well, let's examine our history and see, have there been other periods of time where our democracy has been under attack, when the vote has been under attack? And so through a series of stories that we tell, start with people like Thomas Dorr, a guy who fought for white men to get the vote in Rhode Island, white men who didn't have the right to vote because they didn't own property. And he fomented a rebellion in Rhode Island. Now, I'm not saying we should do that. Alice Paul, a young woman who fought for women's suffrage and was beaten as she marched down Pennsylvania Avenue in 1913, force-fed through a tube through her nose in a couple of years later. So talk about people in history who have been instrumental in facing their time. We talk also about where we stand now. And then I talk about solutions, really concrete solutions that we can put in place to get America back on track with regard to our democracy.
Well, talk about some of those solutions. What's the number one?
I'm not sure I can pick a number one. That's who's my favorite child. Yeah. But I mean, we're talking about the Supreme Court now. I think that we need to first expand the court to deal with the fact that 2 seats were stolen. I think we need to limit the number of years that people can serve on the Supreme Court. I suggest 18 years. This is one of the places where Chief Justice Roberts and I agree. He has suggested 15 years. I suggest 18. But also come up with a way in which we do the selection process so that a president will pick a new Supreme Court justice in his or her first year and also in his or her third year. And that way we depressurize the way in which the confirmation process, the nomination process actually goes through.
And give me another one.
Doing away with partisan gerrymandering, something that we have seen being problematic. And one of the reasons why we're seeing these laws, these anti-choice laws coming out of gerrymandered state legislatures that are not supported by the people in those states. But if you're in a gerrymandered district, you can take a position, vote for a bill that's inconsistent with the desires of your constituents and face no electoral consequence.
Now, you're the chairman of the National Democratic Redistricting Committee. When that was formed, just after the end of the Obama administration, the outlook at the time was Democrats are going to be slaughtered at the ballot box and at redistricting tables around the country. Here we are 4 years later, 2022. Has redistricting been as bad as you thought it would be?
No, it's substantially better than it was at the end of the last cycle, which was in 2011, which Princeton University in a study said was the worst gerrymandering of the past 50 years and really favored Republicans. We're now at a place where we're probably pretty much equal. Democrats probably have a slight advantage. This is, I think, the most fair series of maps that we've had for a good number of years. The thing that really bothers me, though, is that if we had done if things had gone exactly right, we would have 40% more competitive seats. And that's the thing that really bothers me. We have seats that are too safe. But in terms of just looking at who did better, we've stopped. What Republicans said they were going to do was that through redistricting, they wanted to, as they put it, secure a decade of power. They're not going to be able to do that through redistricting.
Former Attorney General of the United States, Eric Holder, thank you very much for coming back to the Sunday Show.
Thanks for having me, Jonathan.